It's 10 p.m. on a Sunday. The world outside is quiet, but inside your mind, it's anything but peaceful. You're scrolling, but your mind is racing. Work emails, bills, unanswered texts, and that nagging sense you didn't do enough this weekend. The glow of your phone is the only light in the room, but it doesn't bring comfort. Just more reminders of everything left undone. The exhaustion is more than tiredness. It's a bone-deep weariness that never lifts. It's the kind of fatigue that seeps into your bones, making even the smallest tasks feel monumental. We've been told this is laziness by relatives, bosses, the media. They say we're entitled, unmotivated, or just not tough enough. You're just not trying hard enough, they say. But you are trying. You're giving everything you have, pouring energy into work, relationships, and self-improvement. You're pushing so hard you feel like you might break. The pressure is relentless, and the expectations never seem to let up. The real problem? The finish line keeps moving further away. Every time you think you're close, it shifts, and you're forced to keep running. This constant running on empty is the background noise of our lives. It's a loop that never stops, a cycle of striving and falling short. We perform, maintain friendships, and try to keep up, all while our batteries are stuck at 5%. Even moments meant for rest are filled with guilt and anxiety. We were told we could do anything, so now we feel like we have to do everything perfectly. The pressure to excel in every area of life is crushing, and the fear of letting anyone down is always there. When we fall short, we blame ourselves. The disappointment is personal, and the shame is heavy. Maybe I'm just lazy, we think. Maybe I'm the problem, not the world around me. But this isn't laziness. It's a specific exhaustion born from our circumstances. It's the result of years spent chasing moving targets and living with constant uncertainty. We followed a path to success only to find it full of potholes and dead ends. The map we were given doesn't match the reality we face. It's the feeling of playing a game that was rigged from the start. The rules keep changing, and the odds are stacked against us. This isn't a personal failing, it's a generational condition. We're all carrying this invisible weight, even if we rarely talk about it. The promises we were sold as kids were, for the most part, a beautiful and damaging lie. We were told the world was ours, but the reality is far more complicated. And that realization is what's left us so incredibly, profoundly tired. It's a fatigue that goes beyond sleep, beyond rest, and settles deep in our souls. If you feel this way, you're not alone. There's comfort in knowing others are fighting the same battle, and together maybe we can start to heal. Millennial burnout isn't just a tough week at work or needing a vacation. It's a chronic, persistent exhaustion that seeps into every part of life. Even simple tasks, laundry, making appointments, feel overwhelming. Our to-do lists become reminders of all the ways we're falling behind. We were told our jobs would define us, but for many, work is just a means to survive. The gap between what we expected and what we got leaves us cynical and detached. We're stuck in a stress cycle, always anticipating the next demand, never truly resting. Burnout is what happens when the demands on us always exceed our resources. It's not a temporary state, it's the new normal for a generation promised the world and handed debt. We grew up believing, work hard, get good grades, follow the rules, and everything would fall into place. Go to college and you'll get a stable, well-paying job. That was the promise, repeated by teachers, parents, and every guidance counselor. But as we came of age, the rules changed, almost overnight it seemed. We followed the script, studied hard, took unpaid internships, hustled for experience, and networked like we were told. We graduated with mountains of debt, only to find the jobs were gone, or the ones left barely paid enough to cover rent. Instead, we got gig work, temp contracts, and side hustles just to scrape by. Wages stayed flat while costs soared. Rent, groceries, healthcare, everything. Buying a home? For many of us it feels like a fantasy, something out of reach no matter how hard we try. We're working harder than ever, putting in longer hours, but somehow falling further behind with each passing year. The stability our parents had, steady jobs, affordable homes, a sense of security, is now a luxury, not a given. We were raised with boomer expectations but handed a post-recession economy, where opportunity feels scarce and uncertainty is the norm. The system rewards privilege, not effort. Connections and luck matter more than hard work or talent. The real betrayal is the gap between the world we were prepared for and the one we actually got. We're not burned out because we're weak or lazy. We're burned out because we're running a race where the finish line keeps moving. The game was rigged from the start, with rules that keep changing and obstacles we never saw coming. And yet we're still expected to play, to keep striving even as the odds stack higher against us. The lazy millennial myth is everywhere, a convenient way to ignore the real systemic failures we face. If we struggle, we're called entitled or unwilling to work hard. But the truth? Millennials are among the most overworked and overeducated generations ever. We work longer hours, take less vacation, and juggle multiple jobs just to get by. The line between work and life is gone. We're not lazy, we're exhausted by relentless pressure to be productive. The gig economy is sold as freedom, but it's just more hustle for less security. This myth protects the status quo and blames us for problems we didn't create. Our exhaustion is a rational response to an irrational system. We're not lazy, we're surviving a broken promise. On top of economic stress, we face the pressure of social media. Our lives are public performances, curated for likes and validation. We compare ourselves to everyone's highlight reels and feel like we're falling behind. Hustle culture tells us to work non-stop, tying our worth to productivity. Rise and grind, sleep when you're dead. These slogans glorify burnout. Even our hobbies become side hustles, our downtime filled with guilt. We're always on, performing for an invisible audience. This mindset is unsustainable and leads straight to burnout. We're afraid to admit we're struggling, so we keep up the facade. But this isolation only makes things worse. We're all performing in our own separate theaters, unaware everyone else feels the same. The pressure to always be on is exhausting. It's time to step off the stage. At the heart of millennial burnout is a quiet, creeping betrayal. We trusted the institutions and narratives that shaped us: education, government, employers. We took on debt for degrees that lost value, believing it was the path to security. Instead, we got lifelong liabilities and fewer opportunities. In the workplace, loyalty is rarely rewarded. Job security is a relic. The promise of fair pay for fair work has been broken. This betrayal breeds cynicism and distrust. We did everything right, but it wasn't enough. The deepest cut is realizing the system was never designed to support us. The first step to healing is naming burnout for what it truly is. Not a personal failing, but a widespread systemic problem that affects millions. Burnout isn't a sign of weakness or lack of willpower. It's a natural response to relentless demands, unrealistic expectations, and a culture that glorifies overwork. By recognizing this, we begin to shift the blame away from ourselves and toward the structures that perpetuate exhaustion. Naming it is an act of defiance, saying, "This is not my fault, the system is broken." It's a refusal to internalize shame or guilt for feeling overwhelmed. Instead, we acknowledge that the pressures we face are bigger than any one person. Burnout thrives in silence and isolation, feeding off our belief that we're the only ones struggling. When we keep quiet, it grows stronger, making us feel even more alone. Honest conversations with friends and colleagues reveal we're not alone. When we open up, we discover that others share our struggles, our doubts, and our exhaustion. Sharing our stories breaks the spell of isolation and creates solidarity. Together, we can validate each other's experiences and remind ourselves that our feelings are real and justified. Once we name burnout, we can start to identify its sources: work pressure, social media overload, financial anxiety, and the constant expectation to be available. This awareness empowers us to set boundaries and reclaim control over our lives. That might mean turning off email after hours, deleting apps that drain our energy, or saying no to extra commitments that push us past our limits. Setting boundaries is self-preservation, not selfishness. It's a necessary act of self-care that allows us to protect our well-being and recharge. There's no quick fix, but we can unlearn hustle culture and slowly reclaim our right to rest, joy, and peace. It's a process, not a destination. Healing starts when we stop blaming ourselves and start treating ourselves with compassion. We can choose to be gentle with our minds and bodies. Our exhaustion is a legitimate response to an unsustainable life. It's not a flaw, but a signal that something needs to change. We deserve to be human, not just productive. We are worthy of rest, connection, and joy, simply because we exist. Healing from burnout means rejecting hustle culture and redefining success. We must stop glorifying busyness and start valuing rest, connection, and joy. Let's build a culture where it's safe to admit we're tired and support each other. Rediscover activities that bring joy, not profit, hobbies for the sake of happiness. These moments reconnect us with who we are beyond our jobs. True success isn't about status or productivity, it's about well-being and fulfillment. This isn't easy, but it's necessary. Together we can build lives that are sustainable and meaningful. If you recognize yourself in this story, know you're not alone. Your exhaustion is real, your frustration valid. The weight you carry is a collective burden, not a personal failure. The path forward is solidarity, recognizing our struggles are connected. Support movements for workers' rights, affordable housing, and student debt relief. Change starts with honest conversations, with friends, co-workers, family. Every time we break the silence, we weaken burnout's power. We build the community we need to survive and fight for a better world. Your story matters. Your voice is hope. Let this be the moment you stop blaming yourself. You are not lazy or weak. You're surviving a generational bait and switch. Together we can reject the myth of laziness and demand the future we deserve. We are tired, but we are resilient, and we're finally waking up.